So today, who do we have today? Today we have a girl named Daniela, and she works at CERN. As I don't work at CERN, but a member of my family works at CERN. So that's going to be really interesting. Oh, she's here. Hello. Here we go. We're waiting. It says waiting on the bottom of my screen. Hi.
Hello, can you hear me well?
I can hear you well. Hi.
Great.
It's so
Hi.
nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you too. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine as well. Oh, I live on the French side, so we have a bit more restrictions now. But
I'm in France too. I understand. Do you have
uh,
you have your paper with your 1 hour government
yeah, yeah,
walk? It's great.
yeah, yeah. All my IDs with me, the Swiss, the French, the Portuguese. Yeah,
Everything, everything. So
yeah.
I just want to do a little quick intro to say hello, everybody. I'm Nyree, as you know, and we are Girls Tech Playground. So what we do is with this live and with everything that we've been doing, we're trying to help girls find an alternative career path for things that they didn't know that they might be interested in within science and working digitally. So
Yeah.
that's what we do. And why don't you tell us, what do you do?
So I work as a communication officer and science communicator at CERN, so which is on between Swiss and France on the border. And yeah, mostly I work translating science into a language that other people can understand. So different communities, different audiences.
You're a CERN worker?
Yep.
I am also. I'm not a CERN worker.
Ah,
I'm a family member who works at CERN, so I have to wear
that
a little ID badge.
okay, good, good.
So, I'm actually someone who's going to go study communications in university, so I'm very interested. And we're
Okay.
also interested in you and how you got to where you are today. So, we tend to start off with a little bit of like personal stuff. So, why don't you describe yourself, but in 3 words?
Okay, so I would say that I'm creative,
Mm-hmm.
but also very analytical, and that I am a good listener.
Do you think that your creativity and like the analytical part of you, do they ever clash in terms?
I think they might have once upon a time. At this stage, I think they just blended in to make me a good professional in what I do.
Do you enjoy what you do? Like, are you passionate about it?
Yes, I am. So I'm very passionate about science. I'm very passionate about science communication. And yeah, I'm very passionate about social activism as well, which is something that I managed to put to use during my master's project.
And what was your master's project? Oh my God, tell us.
So I wanted to do science activities with kids from excluded communities and help them develop certain skills, certain scientific skills that could be of use for their life. And I wanted to do this by bringing generations together as well. So retired people, senior people that could teach science to these kids.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's really nice. How did
yeah.
how did you like get there? Because I know that when a lot of people are younger, they don't think, I'm gonna go do that like that specifically. So how did you find the job that you wanted to do?
Well, it was a bit of a trial and error, I suppose, because so my background is in cell biology. And when to finish my degree, I had to do an internship in the lab. And by the end of it, I realized that one, lab work might not be for me, and two, I don't know what I want to continue studying. So, you know, there are so many options when you study biology, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I ended up taking a year to figure it out.
A gap year?
Yeah, yeah, a gap year. I took a gap year.
What did you do? Where did you go? Tell us everything. So like,
Well,
tell us where you did your degree and where you're from, and like, oh, tell me everything. I'm so interested.
so I did my degree, my cell biology degree in Lisbon. I'm from Portugal. I lived in Lisbon my whole life. And back, I did the internship as well in the university I was working for. But then I didn't want just to spend my gap year doing nothing. I wanted to actually learn some stuff. So I ended up working for a communication agency with pharma. They had a lot of pharma clients. And because I understood biology and they wanted other people to understand biology, I was doing that translation. And that's when I found out that translating science or science communication can be really super fun.
What I'm interested in, this is just for me, if anyone else is curious as well, how do you translate scientific language into coherent everyday language? What's the connection?
Well, you ask a lot of questions to start with. So that's, I suppose, where being a good listener comes in. It's you don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. So my background in science allows me to ask all these questions to technical people, to people who know a lot more than me. And what this means is that they tell me what I need to know. They help me out. It's a very collaborative thing. And then you try to make it understandable to the level of the people you are addressing. So it depends if it's high school students, if it's politicians, you try to address what they know, what they might know.
Is that why you chose CERN, because it's just scientific place? Like, how did you get to Geneva?
Well, but after I did that internship, I decided to continue studying science communication because, like I said, I found out that, oh my God, this is super fun. So I continued my studies with a master's in science communication. And when you do science communication, the place to be is here. So CERN is very good in science communication. It's a fantastic place to learn more about science communication. And then it's also a good place to learn more about science because, when you are trying to figure out what the universe is made of,
it's the place
super cool.
to be.
Yeah, it's super cool also. So
I also just want to say really quickly that if anyone has any questions, we're going to do a little Q&A when I'm done. And when I'm done with all my questions, you're going to be bombarded with questions. So if I have questions, they can ask as well. So obviously you're very passionate about what you do, but what do you like most about your job? Like, what's the highlight?
that's a very good question. I think there are a lot of things. For me, I would say it's learning more. The environment is awesome. The people are awesome. But the fact that I'm learning more every day about something that I didn't study or I didn't know before, it's a constant, how can I say, a constant challenge, a constant source of excitement.
Yeah.
And I like that very much. Yeah.
Was there a shift from going from cell biology to physics? Because CERN is a lot of physics. Like, I'll walk down the corridor and I'll peek in the rooms and I'll just see whiteboards full of equations and I'm like,
yeah,
it's crazy. Was it a shift? Like, what were the challenges in going to this job?
So I think that's a very good question. And I think the fact that I have a background in science allows me to ask the right questions to understand this other science, which is physics.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I wonder, I'm so excited about physics and I have worked my whole career as a science communicator in the physics lab. Mm-hmm. And I wonder why I chose biology a bunch of years ago. Mm. And so it was the choice for me at the time. I really liked what I studied. But I felt also that when it came the time to choose the science I would focus on, it was no question that I would go for biology. Mm. But then, yeah, so one thinks about it.
Fair enough. Do you have any regrets in that? Are you happy with your choice and how you would develop, or do you wish that you had studied physics instead of biology?
Well, I think I'm now aware of it. I'm now aware that I chose something that perhaps I would have enjoyed much more something else. Mm. But I don't have any regrets because all my paths took me here and I'm quite happy where I am. So it's fine. No regrets at all.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we like that here. We're trying to teach girls about, you can take the weirdest path, but eventually you'll find what's right for you.
Yeah.
And it happens. I personally, I love CERN. Like, I'm not a very good mathematician. I don't understand a lot of science. So when it comes to French school, I'm in the section that studies literature and philosophy. But yeah. I love going to CERN because I love listening to their conversations about, like, the universe, and it's just so interesting, and I loved it. Yeah. And I watch me end up in CERN. Honestly, watch me end up after my communications degree.
No, but I don't think that's strange at all. I mean, we have lawyers, we have people who do communications, we have writers, we have social sciences, HR people. You have to have everyone. You can't make an organization like this work if you don't have a whole lot of expertise.
That's true. Yeah, and you clearly have a lot of expertise. What would you say are, like, the most relevant, like, skills to have? Because I know when I was first looking at, for example, if I was looking at something to do with marketing, I thought that it was all maths, but then I learned that it wasn't. So what would you say are the, like, relevant skills to being a communications officer?
Well, I think being a good writer is very important, and learning how to write to get to your audience. But that's an acquired skill. Just like, listening, being a good listener, that's also an acquired skill. That's also something that you learn. And I feel like to really be willing to learn these skills, because you have to any job that you choose, you will have to learn some skills. The best way to actually be willing to learn them is to choose something that you are really passionate about. So if you choose an area that you are excited to be in and that you want to learn more, I think the other skills and the specific skills of the job will come to you. But yeah, I would have to say that especially listening to what people are telling you. So when you are interviewing someone, for example, is very important, because you get a lot of information just by talking to people.
I like that. I'm a people person. My mother always tells me that ever since I was born, I would just talk. Like, I never stopped talking. Like every single parent-teacher reunion, they tell me I talk too much. So,
well, that's it. So you should. I think you're fit for communication.
Because I'm curious, what would you say is like the hardest skill that you had to learn when going into this profession, as someone who started off with something that wasn't exactly physics or communications? What would you say was the hardest part?
Honestly, I think it's the part I like the most as well. It's the having to learn new things, because like I'm a biologist, so that means that I don't know a lot about physics, only what I had in school, and now I have to learn about accelerator science, which is super complex and super specific. But it's fun. Like I said, it's seeing all these systems come together and learning more about it and learning more how you can apply it, to learn things, and even outside of particle physics. It's really cool. So it's a challenge because I have to actually put in some effort to learn new things, but that's how I work. That's what I would always do. And because I'm so excited about what I'm learning, it's not a burden at all. It's fun.
It doesn't feel like work because you're enjoying it so much.
Yeah, I think that's really the thing here, is that is it work? No, it's not, because it's fun. So yeah,
that's our goal. We're trying to find interests for girls that they love so much it doesn't feel like work. That was my slogan. I said that in my first video. I said that we want girls to find something they love so much that it never actually feels like work. And here we have a perfect example.
Yeah. So to a very weird path, I ended up exactly where I want to be, which is
perfect.
Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, that just goes to show that there's always another way in. Like, I remember when I was younger, I would watch a lot of Grey's Anatomy and I wanted to be a doctor. My mom said, listen, getting directly into medicine is very hard, but you can always go another path. There's always another way into a job that you want.
Yeah. And in fact, that path might not be the one for you, because so let's say my specific example, if I had gone to research, I figured out in my last year of the bachelor's that I didn't really enjoy lab work. I could do it, and of course if I took enough time with it, I could do it well, but it doesn't mean that I enjoy it. Where communicating, writing about science and learning about science, that's what I love. Learning about science doesn't mean I would enjoy to be a researcher. So I think it's really about finding the thing that you like about the path that you chose and trying to see what you can do with it for your career.
That's what I find interesting, because a lot of people think that because they're good at something, they have to do it.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case. If you love something enough and you want to keep learning about it, like, go for it. Even if you're not the best at it, not practice makes perfect, but practice helps.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. I think you can always learn. You are primed to learn, especially when you are a bit younger. That's when you learn the most. Like, I'm still at this stage. I want to learn everything. I'm like, please tell me more. So you can always learn new skills as long as you are having fun and you are open to it. So best choose what you love, because that you can change, and then everything else you can learn.
That's actually how I got here. That's how I took my path, so to say. I know I'm still young, but it was a good path. So my mom came into me one day and she was like, would you like to do a workshop? And I was like, what kind of workshop? And it was for digital storytelling. And that's how I ended up getting involved in Girls Tech Playground. And that's how I think everyone should never say no to an opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. I really support that, which is, if an opportunity comes by, just grab it.
Yes, thank you.
It doesn't have to take a lot of effort. Just take it. And that's, yeah.
Wait, I want to ask if anyone has any questions. Feel free to ask because that's what we're doing in our last 5 to 10 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, they can ask. So if people just want to pop in and ask questions, they can. And you can ask me questions as well about the workshop because I really want to get people into the workshop because I really enjoyed it. And that's how I ended up giving a talk on in the ICU. That's a, not ICU, ITC. That's how I ended up giving a talk there with this wonderful organization and Maria, who's amazing, who organized everything. I really want people to get involved in it because I think it's really interesting, and it's how I ended up picking my career path for university.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you did this in, as a sort of activity, and then you found out that you really like it.
Yeah, or... it was essentially it was a 2-day workshop, so it was a weekend. Where we went and we learned how to tell stories digitally, so using Photoshop and using just communication essentially. And afterwards, I realized that Maria just told me it's the ITU. Thank you, Maria. The ITU. And I found out that I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed doing different work, and it was so interesting. And so I was like, this is definitely something that I would want to pursue, especially as someone who never stops talking. It was really helpful.
I think we are having, I don't think you just talk, I think you listen very well too. If I can say that. Yeah. Because we are having this conversation, and I really feel like this is a conversation. So, and yeah.
That's good. I want to feel like I'm a good listener as well as a communicator, because I really need that skill.
So from my side, I'm really enjoying this experience. You are being a very good listener.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I do have one question that's not just for me, it's for all the women. What advice would you have for girls who are searching for their career path? Because I remember a year ago, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and everything was kind of thrown in the wind. So what advice would you have for girls, maybe my age or younger, who are starting to figure out what they want to do?
Well, I think that's a very good point, figuring out. So one thing that you mentioned just now is that you had this activity, that you participated in this workshop and you enjoyed it and you decided to do this. So to find the thing that you really love, which would be my advice, you have to try new things. So that means you have to, go out there and do different things and try to figure out if this works for you, if that works for you. Just, try it. Now it's the right time to try, honestly, because there are no, or the stakes are lower, I suppose. And I still feel like that. I know I'm not that much older probably than you. So it's like, yeah, I try. And then eventually you get to a point where you just want to, have this straight path ahead of you because you've already chosen. But before that, just try. Just make attempts at figuring out what's best for you.
And is that how you figured out that CERN is the place for you? Because you did full circle of, oh yes, science, CERN is the place.
Well, I think it was before CERN, honestly. So CERN was more like the level up of where I was before, because before I was also working as a science communicator for a physics laboratory. And that's where I felt my life had come full circle, because then I'm back in science doing communications. But yeah, so CERN was just a level up, bigger organization.
Did you have to do anything extra? Because I know your bachelor is in cell biology, but you're doing your master's. What was that in? Was it in communications or was it in something else?
So science communication specifically. Yeah. We learned a lot about communication, corporate communication, marketing. We learned some about that, but specifically for the science audiences, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So people who, so politicians, but also the general public. So everything from there, we focus on that.
I think it's really important about how certain subjects are given to students, especially because I remember when I was younger, I had a really good maths teacher and I understood maths really well. But as I got older and the teachers changed, I found that the teaching method just didn't help, and the way that they communicated the method didn't work for me. So I think it's really important how, especially science, because science is a hard subject, how it's communicated to students, especially me. I don't speak fluent French very well, but I'm in a French school. And so having to do science was really difficult for me. Yeah. But I had a friend who was really good at science, and she used to tell me what it meant, and she used to communicate it to me in a way that I understood. And I think it's really important that that's how it's given to people.
Yeah, so one thing that I also learned during my master's is the teacher makes a whole lot of difference.
They do.
So, if they are excited about what they are teaching you, it's halfway there. The best teachers that I had, they were like geeks for their class, you know, like
That's the
super interested. Yeah.
I find
So finding something that you're passionate about is just goes across all of the areas that you can choose, and it's also something that's, you know, through science, because I had to do a master's and some research and an academic paper. That's also the result that you get, that the teacher who is excited makes a lot of difference when he's teaching.
it's the passion for teaching the subject that really makes the difference to the student.
Yeah, because it resonates with you, like you are excited to know more. Like, please tell me more. If this is so cool for you, it might be
That
so cool
makes
for me too.
me excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of passion that really, I don't know, drive, like that's what made me pick going into literature, because the teacher was so excited about it, and I was like, you know what, I want to continue doing this. This is fun.
Yeah.
It just made everything
So,
more interesting.
and I remember the teacher, the weirdest in a very good way, like the people who
The fun teacher.
are, yeah, yeah, it was the biology one.